Hello, everyone, and welcome to the ThrillGeek podcast. I'm Clint.
I'm Barry, and we have a special guest this week. She is the founder of MouseSteps.com. Say hello to Denise.
Hey, Denise. Thanks for coming on and chatting with us and talking about things are starting to come back. And not necessarily in the manner that is what's the word I'm looking for here?
Normal.
The new normal, as it's called. Some people have been saying it. But yeah, Denise, you've been staying at a resort, so we figured we'd have you on since not last week, a couple weeks ago. Barry and I and the wife and my kids, we all stayed at a Universal resort, so we figured we'd reach out to you and chat about staying at a Disney resort and kind of what's going on there. And so
before we get to that, for people who don't know you, sort of describe how you got started, sort of went down this sort of path of creating MouseSteps.com.
I'm curious.
I know. I mean, I've been online talking Disney for like 25 years, so a while. And, even in the 90s, I had web pages and AOL hometown pages. And
oh, gosh.
Like when Islands of Adventure first opened, I had a web page on that. And so, that's over, it's over 20 years ago now. So, MouseSteps was more like I was doing these walks on property. So it was more about the photo walks on Disney property. But then people would say, well, if you're at the Wilderness Lodge anyway, doing a photo walk, can you get the construction of the pool for me? And so it started building from there because people would ask me for other things.
Just out of curiosity, what was your Universal page? Was it a website?
It was just a hometown AOL pages. So,
okay.
You were able to have a certain amount of pages with each screen name. So you would have different screen names so you could have extra pages.
I got
you. So, for opening of Universal, like I was at Islands of Adventure before it officially opened. And then I was there on opening day and it was so slow. It was, really slow. And it's amazing, how it has grown. And you never would have thought it back then.
Yeah.
It's an amazing how now it's gone back to I remember when it was like this because it's it's slow now. So
I mean, Universal was very different back then. I remember when Universal itself opened and going during opening year and when Islands opened, it was very different. I think there was not quite the excitement. I don't think people were thinking of Universal as a resort property, and now it's like a world-class resort property.
Yeah, and they did the whole Universal Studios Escape name thing. That was a nightmare. So
the worst marketing plan in history.
Yeah, that didn't help. So that was an interesting time for Universal because here you got this groundbreaking park, Islands of Adventure, and it was interesting to see how small the crowds were at first. I remember my first visit to Islands. The crowds were, very slim. So,
but you got to ride Spider-Man a lot.
Yeah. Exactly. Did you want to chat about Hamilton, Barry? I know you're probably chomping at the bit to chat Hamilton.
Well, I mean, I'm. It seems everybody's been chatting Hamilton this past since Friday.
Nobody's been talking about Hamilton.
You finally saw it, which
I did,
and I was shocked by your reaction.
Yeah, it was. I don't want to take the spotlight here. I want Denise, because
I don't need the spotlight.
But no, I really enjoyed it. It was. I think I went in not knowing what to expect. I think I kept my expectations low for it because everybody gave it so much praise and like it is the greatest Broadway performance show ever. And when stuff like that happens, I tend to keep my expectations really low. So I go in, and to be hopefully blown away, and I was. It's a lot to take in. I've only seen it once because I was trying to watch it. I got 3 kids. So when you're trying to watch a musical with fast rapping, you've got 3 kids running around the house. It's kind of difficult. So I do want to go back and watch it again. But the first time, I can understand why people were saying, some people were watching it and they were saying, it's hard to understand the lyrics, and people were like, oh, watch it with captions, and but I liked it. It was definitely unique. I is something that I could quickly describe it as. I don't. You said that was your first time watching it, Denise. What did you think as far as?
I loved it.
Yeah.
And I thought some of the performances, many of the performances, Jonathan Groff was amazing, and is her name Philippa? I can't. Who was, her voice is just like an angel, right? I mean, it is.
Yeah.
She was unbelievable. I
have never seen her before, and I thought, but not only them. I mean, I just think everybody brought so much to, the ensemble. Everybody was excellent in it, and I love the music and the different styles of music.
No, I mean, I've been lucky enough to see it live twice, including one time with Lin-Manuel Miranda in it down in Puerto Rico. And I mean, it's one of my favorite musicals. It's crazy to think that it debuted 5 years ago. The recording was 4 years ago. It's as much as excited I was to get to see it in theaters next year. Now I can watch it whenever I want at home. We watched it like 3 times in 24 hours. And also the amazing thing is you get to see the original Broadway cast. For the most part, I think 2 of the ensemble people were different people than the original cast. And that cast is one of the most talented original Broadway casts. I mean, they've all, since leaving June, July of 2016, they've all gone on to do so many other things. It's pretty amazing. And just to see that cast and to finally, after all these years of listening to the soundtrack, actually to see their performances was pretty amazing and very moving. And it's cool that you get to see, like, for the most part, the original Broadway cast. You don't always get that in some of the recordings that they've done. Like even with Newsies, it has some of the original Broadway cast, but it also it was shot with the touring version in Los Angeles, so you didn't get the full Broadway cast. But it's amazing. It's there. It obviously was a big deal for Disney. Obviously it cost Disney a lot of money to move it to Disney Plus instead of releasing it in the theaters. And hey, there's downloads over 3 days, July 3rd, 4th, and 5th, went up 70% compared to normal. So
I saw the numbers,
and it has dominated the conversation for days, and people are still talking about it. We're almost a week into it being released. So I think it did what Disney wanted it to do.
They could still put in theaters. So, I mean, when theaters actually really open to people, I don't mean like a third or a quarter full, but when, in a year, maybe they can actually put in the theaters, because I'd love to see it on the big screen.
Oh, no. I mean, that was the one disappointment for me, is I was looking forward to see it in Dolby with that sound system, and just, and hopefully I think you're right, Denise, probably within a year or so, it'll be a 1 weekend event where they'll release it in the theaters, and I will definitely go. So
that's what I was going to say. They may do like a limited time event or something like that, and put it in the movie theater for a week or something, though. But no, I definitely want to go back and watch it, several more times. But I have a hard time with musicals. I have a hard time. My attention span's very short, and if I'm not instantly clicked into a musical, you can ask my wife, my brain starts to wander and go off in different directions. But this musical from the start just kept me just honed in the entire thing. So no, I loved it. It was awesome. So
let's move on to let's talk Disney Resorts. I guess it's been a few weeks now. A couple of weeks ago, they reopened to the DVC members. They're about to reopen to guests who've booked vacations, at least contemporary and pop century. You got to stay, Denise, at the Boardwalk. And albeit, what was that experience like? Being someone who's, like all 3 of us here, we've been to the resorts a lot. Some of us have stayed there. It's been a while since I've stayed in one. But what was that like?
Quiet most of the time. It's obviously staying at Disney, visiting Disney is very different right now. And it's depending on what happens with, everything going on. If it keeps reopening, then more is going to open with it. But when we were there, it was, the Boardwalk Bakery was open, but a lot of the restaurants, a lot of the, everything around it, it just was quiet. You don't have entertainment. There wasn't, I don't remember if there was music on the boardwalk. Like we visited the Polynesian and Disney's Fort Wilderness Resort and someplace, and Yacht Club and all that. So some like Polynesian had quite a bit of music, and it felt like itself. Where the boardwalk is usually very lively, but it was nice. It was quiet though. It was not like staying. You're not walking to Epcot. You're not walking to Disney's Hollywood Studios. You're maybe enjoying your balcony. And I really enjoyed going out in the morning and just walking the boardwalk a little bit. And I think there was some music, just not. It was actually very nice. You heard the birds and. I think it was about 45 minutes. I didn't see anybody from like 6:15 till about 7. But right now a lot of the dining is inside, and I don't dine inside right now, and we don't do that. So you're trying to figure out where are you going to eat. Like we got something at the Boardwalk Bakery, but it's very limited. But of course, Epcot and Disney's Hollywood Studios will be opening very soon.
What was it? Was there anything different with the rooms as far as as what was inside them or how they did things in the room?
A little bit. I mean, they have the the remote control was in plastic, and it says like clean, and I'm like, should I use it with the plastic on, or should I? So I just use it with the plastic on.
They did that at Universal too. They had them wrapped up in the plastic, and I was like, so does that mean it's clean inside the bag and we take it out of the bag, or do I use it holding the bag?
And of course, there's sanitizer everywhere, which I always am happy to have sanitizer, even during not a pandemic, when anybody has sanitizer and the social distancing. And the one thing you see at the parks and you see at the resorts is a lot of plexiglass, which is really good. You want to have, what I've noticed at the parks and at Magic Kingdom and at the resorts, a lot of times the cast members now get like 2 protections. They have often a mask and a face shield, or maybe they'll have a mask and plexiglass. And I think that's really important to keep the cast members safe right now.
Yeah.
But, there's a lot of, you can enter this way and exit this way. And, it's, if you've been to Universal, which you have over the last, month, it's similar to that.
Yeah.
How was the check-in process?
Just did it on the phone.
Everything was on the phone. Yeah.
Right. And my goal in going to the resort and really in going to the parks is to have as little contact with cast members and team members as possible right now.
Yeah.
Although then you find some haven't really talked to anybody in like 3 months and want to talk, but
that's the hard part.
That's the goal. So bypassing that front desk was really easy.
That's good.
Did you go to the pool during that time while you were there?
We looked at the pool, but that was the one place that was kind of crowded. Yeah. I mean, especially Stormalong Bay at the Yacht and Beach Club was closed. So I think that was part of the reason that it was, extra busy.
Yeah. So, did you feel safe while you were there? Because we've been to Universal. You're sort of in a bubble. Did you feel that way when you were staying there?
And I actually have called Universal. It feels like you're in a fairly safe bubble where, it's kind of odd to think of the theme parks that way. But yeah, at Boardwalk pretty much, because almost everybody wore their masks. But the only thing is everything is as safe as those guests, the other guests. And, when I'm staying at a hotel now, I get nervous. It's like, what if somebody gets off an elevator and doesn't have their mask on and, sneezes? I mean, you just don't know. So you want to be careful.
Seen it. There's always that one person or, group of people that, aren't following the rules. And
And it takes one. It only takes one. And most guests I found at Universal, I think Universal is really great in that they've really adopted this mask culture, masking, and they've really encouraged it and encouraged the social distance. I think that they've done such a great job with that overall. And I think, Disney's been doing pretty good, too. And I was very happy at the Boardwalk. Most guests followed, and I felt safe because there was almost nobody there, and that really helps. The fewer people, the safer I feel.
I know it's sort of a dichotomy because, like, going to Universal right now, it's like on the one hand, it's like this is not good for Universal because it's not really busy, but on the other hand, especially for us who live here, we're like, this is wonderful. It's like I can almost slightly relax a little bit because everybody's got a mask on, and for the most part, everyone's staying away from each other, and then the lines aren't long, and I can actually get on Hagrid's.
I never rode Hagrid's till now, and it's nice just seeing everybody I think because there's so many pass holders and they've gone and they know what to do and they just do it and they stand on the line, and it's really nice to be able to get in a line and know that everybody kind of knows what they're doing.
What did you think of Hagrid's?
Loved it, especially front row on the bike.
Did you get front row?
The second time, yes.
Yeah, I haven't. I've gotten. I got stuck sidecar front row. I haven't gotten motorbike front car, and I've heard that's like the seat to have.
It was, that was of the two. That was incredible. I really
such
loved
a fun
it.
ride.
Mm-hmm.
It's a blast. Go ahead, Barry.
So,
you gonna say? Go ahead.
No, I mean it's so. I mean, I think much like Clint and I have discussed. Do you think it really comes down to your comfort level when it comes to coming to one of these resorts and staying there?
I wouldn't encourage anybody to stay right this second. I would say, book for fall and see how it goes. And, it's also going to be cooler at that time and you can wear your mask. And, I think right now with, can I talk about our COVID-19 cases in Florida are terrible. Yeah. And I would say, and I hate to say, look at me, I'm in the Magic Kingdom having a good time. Don't come yet. But, I can go there and I can go there for a half hour and say, I think I would rather just go home for now. Disney's done a great job, but I would just say, even a couple months, I would see how we're doing in that time frame. But, plan, but I wouldn't come like right this second. Plus it's super hot and I'm fine with a mask for myself, but probably 70-degree weather would be easier with a mask.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it is one thing for us locals who live here because it's like we went to Disney Springs Monday night, had dinner at White Pig, and it was nice and it's calm. But then it was, even though it had stormed, it was actually busy in Disney Springs, and we sort of reached a point. Well, my wife did, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm not comfortable. Let's go home."
Right, and if you're on a 7-day trip or something, I think it's better to wait till I personally would wait till our cases go down, and I hope that we get it into some sort of shape where they go down. But just to plan for, let's say 2 to 3 months from now and see how everything goes. Again, it's a more comfortable time.
More resorts will be open too.
More everything, as long as everything keeps opening, then more restaurants, more resorts, more experiences, everything will be more open.
I couldn't. I mean, it's stressful enough planning a Disney vacation when there's no coronavirus, COVID-19. So I couldn't. And Barry and I have said this before. I couldn't imagine planning any sort of out-of-state vacation coming down here now. It's not feasible. It's and I think Disney, and I've said this before, I think Disney is subtly telling everybody not to come down here right now.
Except now they're going to be selling tickets and hotel rooms, and I was surprised at that. I thought they'd wait maybe a month. I think
got that announcement today actually.
Yeah, and I think that for the summer maybe do with the locals, and then see how everything goes, and again in a couple months or so, September, October, see how everything's looking. But you can plan it today or tomorrow. but I would wait just a little bit.
So go ahead, Barry.
So you, I think we good with the resorts.
I was curious, really quick. You guys visited the new ranch. Tell us about that. How was that?
Great. The Tri-Circle D Ranch, the barn is really nice, and not only I love Fort Wilderness. I love going there, and
Wilderness is my favorite resort.
Mm-hmm. And so it was really nice to see that it's, a much bigger barn. I don't know if it's like double the size or something, but it feels very spacious. It's got like 10 new stalls and, it's upgraded.
Was the original one there? And where was the original ranch located?
Oh, it's really close. It was very close. It's all in the settlement area that has Pioneer Hall and all that. Plus, they had the baby horse, Violet, who was 5 weeks old at the time, which was really cool to see her and her mom. And then also we went to P&J Southern Takeout because Trails End is not open. And I don't know what's going to happen with Trails End. Maybe they'll go to like a family style but P&J's is, they have the fried chicken, they have the cornbread, and that's always there. That's the takeout. You can get a bunch of different items like the chili and stuff like that. So it was really nice to go there for lunch.
Huh.
But it's very different because you're going through Trails End. Normally you kind of go in, it used to be Trails End to go. And so when you go inside, you have to go really through what's normally the buffet to be able to get there. Yeah. Because they made it, so that you can walk this way and then walk this way with all the arrows and such.
Huh.
But it's sad to see Trails End not serving right now, and I think that's the one thing. It's kind of sad to see so much that still isn't open.
Yeah. That's kind of hard, seeing stuff that, you know, stuff that you know and love, and, you hate to see it just sitting there and, not being alive with, life. So hopefully hopefully that gets back to normal, and everything else that's, kind of not coming around yet. So go ahead, Barry.
I mean, it's going to be interesting to see as what they reopen as things come along here, restaurant wise.
Yeah.
Yes. It'll be interesting. I would imagine the restaurants are probably going to get a little bit busier now that that regular guests can book reservations.
Yeah.
Which they finally opened the other day. So it's I think it'll breathe some more life into the resorts, but obviously the restaurants will still be running at a lower capacity, which I'm fine with. I've enjoyed dining with with a lot more space and no one near me, and I can actually have a conversation, and so it's actually been enjoyable. So Monday you got to go to one of the previews, for Magic Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like setting foot, that experience of going back into a park, a Disney park for the first time in it's about almost 4 months?
It's been a long time. I didn't know, a friend actually asked us on Sunday night. So I've known him like 25 years from online, and it was really nice. It was a surprise that we were going.
That's
and
nice.
Really, it was, I get a little anxious anytime we're doing something new. So like Disney Springs, I can just go and I know Disney Springs and I know how Universal works, but you don't know how the Magic Kingdom is going to work. And the Magic Kingdom is the trickiest of all of them because you have to take the transportation to get to the park. Yeah. But it was very, it was really nice to be back in the park. It's not like I'm not crying or something, but it's, I know some people do, but it was just a nice feeling it's sort of like not everybody understands, it's like, oh, well, it's a theme park, but some people love sports teams or whatever. And, I've been going to Disney since I was young, 70s, mid 70s. And so it was just very familiar and nice to be back. Very different in some ways, but very similar in some ways. I mean, you went. Did you say you went yet?
No,
okay.
I'm going Friday. Well,
We all got our
the
dates
pass
coming
holder
up here.
preview on Friday, and then I'll be there Magic Kingdom Saturday, Animal Kingdom Sunday, and then Hollywood Studios next Wednesday.
Yeah, we have Magic Kingdom tomorrow, Animal Kingdom Monday, and then Epcot the 15th and Hollywood Studios the 16th. And then I'm taking a break, taking a little bit of time, and then going to see my mother because I haven't seen her in months.
Oh. Let's go back and chat about some of the stuff at the theme parks. I know we've seen the pictures of like the in the queues, the plexiglass. How was the temperature scan process checking in? Obviously, it looked very similar from what I'd seen on social media to Disney Springs, the tents with the people scanning your forehead. And,
same
process.
the same with the temperature, and then after that, the security check part was different than what we're used to.
Did they have the new ones there at Magic Kingdom?
It was different than I had not done the one at Disney Springs. I assume it's like they had you put your metal stuff and your camera in a plastic bag.
Yeah.
And then you gave it to them, and then you walk through without metal.
Yeah.
Which was interesting, and it's much better than having somebody have their hands on my bags. But I would really rather them still go to more of a, like the Universal or Disneyland Paris type of security where everything just goes through the metal, through the scanner, and it's so much quicker.
Yeah.
And they also then can look inside cameras and stuff, right? I mean, you're looking through everything at that
X-ray
point.
machines, yeah.
And I would rather see them eventually go to that, but at least this is a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a discussion on here before. It's even before the pandemic. I felt more and more that the whole them going into your bag thing was just, it's very obtrusive. It's very slow. Sometimes you get a chatty security guard, or sometimes you get, I'm sure you're aware of this. Many female, my wife included, female friends have gotten sort of weird comments from security guards.
About the stuff in there?
Yeah.
I mean, I've had all kinds of comments, I don't know if I should tell this story. So,
but I mean, it's just an outdated way to do it.
I get comments, even just like, let's say you have a little muffin or something. They might say, "Oh, look, you have a little muffin in your bag." I won't tell the other story, but it was from like 20 years ago. But I don't like people talking about what's in my bags.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's kind of weird.
And now it's just no one should be touching what's in your bag. So
right.
there's no clean way to do that.
Right. And I've never really cared for it. So I'm glad that part's gone, but I would still love to see them just take the whole hands-off approach that, again, Disneyland Paris has it and Universal has it. And I'm hoping eventually we'll get more to that point.
Yeah, I mean,
Barry
it's
and
the
I
one.
Discussed this before about like why Disney never installed the metal detector.
Yeah, you redo your entire security areas at all four parks, and then you don't.
Yeah.
Do the most obvious thing.
Well, maybe eventually, and I think that the one thing with the pandemic is that I think that it will bring about better health and security measures that hopefully will stick around for a long time.
Yeah.
So, monorail or ferry?
This time, I wanted to take the ferry boat, but it looked a little bit busy, and the monorail did not look as busy, so we took the monorail.
I haven't seen anybody. I don't know if you've seen. How are they loading the ferry? Did you see how they're loading it? Or?
We're going to take the ferry boat tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I think there's like dots that you stand on. We're not going till like 1 p.m. tomorrow, so that hopefully there won't be anybody really arriving but us. I'm hoping.
Yeah, because I haven't seen anybody post it. I mean, surely it's been posted. I might have just missed it, but I haven't seen how they're doing the ferry boat.
Most people seem to be doing the monorail.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh. So how was the monorail? How was the monorail like the experience?
It was a little different in that they seat you and they'll be like, okay, you go on the right hand side. And I thought we'd have our own car. And then also they have, between between some of the guests you have like a divider, but we still had other guests in with us on the other seat. And then one took a mask off for a minute, and I'm just like, you know.
How many people total besides you guys?
We had like 6 or 7 total. In
wow.
Yeah, so it was 3 of us, and then it was either 3 or 4 others.
Yeah.
A family.
Huh.
But they didn't see us all at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I guess technically you are 6 feet apart when you're sitting there. But yeah, it's still, I could see where that's sort of...
Yeah, any place that's like an enclosed area, I don't want to see a mask off, you know.
Yeah.
But
keep it on.
Yes, keep it on. You know, take it off once you get outside the monorail. Go ahead and
if you need to take
a
breather, slip it off for a minute. You know,
I mean, I could definitely
holler and scream for that, but
I could definitely see why the ferry might be a preferred method because you're out in your open air.
Yeah.
And especially if everyone's supposed to stand in specific spots and, you know, you got a breeze blowing the entire time.
I spend most of my time outside, you know, like I'll do, you know, we did Porn Stuntacular at Universal twice and it was fantastic. But maybe 1 ride or 2 rides indoors for me per time, but I don't like to be in too much. I like to spend most of my time outside.
Yeah. Did you guys do some rides on Monday when you were at the park?
We did Haunted Mansion, and I did the Flying Carpets, and they did Splash Mountain and Pirates.
How was Haunted Mansion with no stretching room? That was the one tweet we had somebody there that was sending me pictures that I was posting on ThrillGeek. So we weren't there, and the one tweet that went absolutely bonkers was everybody was upset about the no stretching room. So how was that? Are they doing something in there to take up the time or to entertain you still, or is it just like you're walking straight through?
And it was fine, you know. It's not like I've never seen the stretching room before. I've seen it like 1,000 times. And right now, go ahead. The nice thing is they're not telling you to fill in all that available space. You know, in the days before Disney closed, before it closed, we were in the Magic Kingdom. And at that time, it was announced that it would close. So we were in the Magic Kingdom when it was announced that the parks were going to close. And we went on to the Haunted Mansion. And I think we had just gone on the Haunted Mansion right before we found out. But when they were saying fill in all of the available space, I'm like, I don't want to do that. You know, I can't do this anymore. So I'm much happier, you know, doing the walking with distance right now. And then I think they put somebody in every other dune buggy.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I mean, we were there the final night Magic Kingdom was open, and we were purposely like avoiding people. And even when we watched Happily Ever After, it's like we're gonna stand over here off to the side because you know, everybody was like in the hub, and I remember that night there was a ton of the college program kids were in the park that night and crying all over the place. It's just I remember like that last week I was like, it's like, they threw out a bunch of hand wash stations and hand sanitizer stations, but I wasn't noticing any extra cleaning. Whereas I'll ask you this question. How much extra cleaning did you notice as you were walking around that day?
In the park?
In the park.
I didn't, you know what? I didn't notice a ton of cleaning. And I'm not saying that didn't happen. It's not like at Universal you see like cleaning all the time.
Yeah.
So like at the Boardwalk I saw quite a bit. And maybe it's just that I wasn't on all the rides and I didn't see to the same level as maybe I've seen at Disney Springs and the Boardwalk. So that doesn't mean it wasn't happening. It just, I spent a lot of time on Main Street and kind of walking around the park and
you were taking everything in.
Just taking it all in. And again, I liked that they had all the plexiglass and you want the cast members not just to feel safe, but to be safe. And so I really like that almost everybody has a shield in addition to that mask. I think that's really important.
Yeah. That's a good little extra step that Disney's taking.
So how did it feel capacity wise?
Empty. It felt mostly empty. when we were walking in, there were more people, but once you got in the park and it starts spreading out, Space Mountain had a 5-minute wait, it said, and Buzz Lightyear was like a 5-minute wait, it said. And
I'd be curious to see I don't know what the capacity was, how many cast members were invited to the preview.
I was thinking it might be busy because, each cast member was allowed to bring in 3 guests, but it wasn't busy. It was really nice, actually. And, you saw that one picture that was put up where, everybody was sort of crowded together, but I never saw anything like that in the park.
Yeah, I shared that I retweeted that on my personal Twitter account. It was one instance in front. I guess Mine Train had just come up from being down, and there was a big group in front of it, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, look at this! It's the worst thing, Disney. You're horrible." And I'm like, "It's one picture of one ride."
Yeah, I mean, whereas
everything else that I had seen, heard, everybody was, wearing their masks, going by the rules and everything. So, when one picture of a tight group of people gets out there, everybody goes crazy.
We have to try not to have that happen, though.
Yeah. I understand. Yeah. I completely agree.
But almost everything was really good. Most people had their masks on. There's never going to be 100% compliance on anything.
No. Yeah.
And so, you take as much as you can get as long as it's mostly enforced.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say most of the pictures and video I saw were like just empty walkways. And the only time someone might be near each other is if they stopped and were watching one of the parade floats go by, which I guess that happens just randomly throughout the day.
It actually happened a lot. It was like, so I noticed.
I was going to ask you about those next, actually, the character Cavalcade. So go ahead and.
No, they were really fun. I mean, the Tinkerbell one I saw probably at least 3 times. So it's not like they just happen once per. So you have the Tinkerbell float. You have like the Piglet and Rabbit and Eeyore being taken down by a trolley down Main Street and maybe through Frontierland, but I didn't see that. And then the Princess float, which was really amazing. So, you have a variety of, and then the Fantasyland one with Gaston on horseback. And Merida was on horseback for
everybody
the
loves
Princess one, right?
Merida on, what's her horse's name? I'm terrible.
Angus?
Angus.
Yeah. That was one thing that everybody seemed to really enjoy on seeing on Twitter and stuff was Merida with Angus and Gaston and his horse being Gaston.
Honestly, I like those better in a way, and I love Festival Fantasy Parade, but just to have things that just happen and it's not listed, what time, and maybe they have scheduled times and people will start figuring them out, but they happen enough.
It almost feels like the Halloween party or the Christmas party where it's a little more sporadic, so to speak.
Right. Or, and some of it was like Disney Villains After Hours, and which was almost, ahead of its time, where you don't meet characters, but you get to see them. So, and I actually like that. I don't have to meet all the characters. It's nice just to get to see them doing their thing and interacting.
Yeah, both Barry and I love the Villains After Hours event. It's one of those. It was one of those events where it was so short and it was over like that. And I was like, I want more.
And I guess
Oh, go ahead.
I guess they also would use some of the floats from the street party with Mickey, and I know the one float had Mickey, Minnie,
and Goofy. Then one with Goofy and Clarabelle and some of the others. So I mean, I don't even know how many. There must be at least 5 or 6. Then I don't even know how many, but I think we saw and got them all. So
I have to ask you, Denise, what are you for the Splash Mountain overhaul? Princess and the Frog?
It had been rumored that it could change for so many years.
Yeah.
And I think the one thing we sort of learned with Mission Breakout in Disney California Adventure.
Yeah.
And Joe Rohde said that essentially that this is the building that houses a ride. And Splash Mountain is sort of the mountain that houses a ride, but that doesn't mean that it always has to stay the same.
Yeah.
So I don't really ride it that often. I don't really do water rides a lot. So
Same. Unless my kids want to.
yeah, I feel like if we need to be progressive, of course, I have no problem with it. I love Princess and the Frog. It has fantastic music.
It does.
It's a fantastic story and characters, and I think it's probably time to do that. And it's been talked about for on and off for a long time that maybe this should happen, and so
here we
now
are.
is that time.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
completely.
I mean, and I'm all for. I know they've been running since reopened the other day. Splash Mountain with people didn't know you could reduce the splash on Splash Mountain, and I'm like, can we keep it that way when they do the Princess and the Frog? Because it's like one of the reasons why I almost never ride Splash Mountain is because I don't want to get soaking wet.
And I don't like getting soaking wet either. So if that's the case, then I would ride a little more often. I have my camera equipment and stuff, so I'm not. Yeah. Plus, I just don't like to be walking off and soaked. So
I used to. Now,
yeah,
like I said, when my kids, they're like if I'm at Universal with my oldest Jordan, he's like, Dad, let's go ride Jurassic Park River Adventure. And I'm like, I don't want to get soaking wet.
Maybe when I was 20 it was okay, but it's...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just like, no, I don't, especially when it's hot now and it's humid. You get off and you're miserable and your socks are soaking wet and anyways, we're all for it. We had Emily on and we were all chatting about it, and and I think you summed it up nicely in that it's it's time to it's time for an update. And
it's still a mountain. It's still going to be essentially the same ride. It's going to be a different theme. It's not the first time we've had a different theme. So we've had a bunch of times.
I've told people like on Twitter and stuff like, Splash Mountain is a fantastic log flume ride. Even if you strip off all the theming, it's still a fun log flume ride with all the little drops and everything. So, this is just going to be another, layer of a different change, another layer for us to enjoy. So,
people have a hard... Oh, go ahead. Oh, no, people have a hard time with change, so
yeah,
sometimes.
Yep.
And hey, you're getting you're getting an original storyline. You're getting a Mardi Gras themed ride too.
And that will be great.
Yeah.
And then you got, but the one thing that was interesting was, everybody was trying to figure out how it's going to integrate into Frontierland and all that. And, it'll be interesting to see how they do it. It'll be,
Splash Mountain wasn't really, what was Frontier about that? So it's technically New Orleans is more farther west than Georgia was. So,
so anyways, all right, I think we can kind of wrap things up here. Denise, thank you so much for joining us. Where can people find you on YouTube? Which go to the MouseSteps YouTube channel. This thing is like a plethora of just your guys' YouTube channel is amazing. I love it. I've spent time on there. Just there's so many awesome videos on there that you guys have.
We had so much vintage just, on deck waiting, and then it's like, okay, park's opening. So like we have like 21 videos, some of it, really great stuff, just kind of sitting, waiting for at some point when we're not really in the parks, as much. So.
And
I was telling him beforehand, it's like because some people don't know, like the other part is Jeff Lang. And I have some of the DVDs still from back in the day.
He's been videotaping for 30 years or whatever, the parks, and has just so much.
I never see that man without his camera, and it certainly shows, because like I said, the YouTube channel's got some really cool, especially like you said, if you're into kind of nostalgic Disney, kind of older stuff, there's so much on there. So
and a lot of new, right now we're pumping out the new, but it's really fun to be able to kind of have him go through, finally have time to go through his older stuff and start posting more of it.
Good old nostalgia. There's nothing like it. And what is the YouTube channel? I was trying to find it. I know it's MouseSteps, but it's
JWL Media, MouseSteps. Just if you just look up MouseSteps on YouTube, then you'll find it.
Yeah. And your Twitter is MouseSteps.
MouseSteps. Site is MouseSteps, and
Instagram.
is MouseSteps.
Cool. All right. Just making sure.
Everything, yeah.
Okay,
So
cool.
good to brand it one thing and not confuse people.
Exactly. Yeah, it's all about keeping it consistent. So, all right, Barry, anything else you wanted to ask Denise or?
No, that's
on outta
it.
here?
And speaking of branding, we are at ThrillGeek on Twitter and Instagram, Facebook.com/ThrillGeek. Please like and follow our Facebook page. YouTube.com/ThrillGeek. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got a couple of new videos up there, including a ThrillGeek Live from Islands of Adventure. Watch Clint walk around for over a half an hour. It's exciting. ThrillGeek.com for the latest in theme park and pop culture news. And of course, you're listening to the Thrill Geek podcast. Wherever you can get a podcast, you can get the Thrill Geek podcast.
Yes, you can. And I think there was something else I was going to say, but I can't remember right now. So if I remember, I'll bring it up next time. So anyways, Denise, thank you so much again for coming on, chatting with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting
Of course.
me.
Of course. Anytime. Anyways, thanks guys for listening, and we'll see you guys next week.
See you in the parks.
All right, I'm gonna.
John Panda's gonna want